everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Queens. This is a show about all things political from a female progressive point of view. Wave hello to the camera, guys.
Hi.
We have a new panelist with us today. Her name is Jenny. I think it's Jenny Ford, but I'm just calling her Jenny because that's what's on the screen. So we're going to give Jenny a moment to just tell us a little bit about herself so you all can know who she is.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny, aka Jenny Joy or JJ, whichever you prefer. If you're my mother, it's Jennifer Joy, but we won't go there. I was raised very conservative in a very religious household. So I didn't start thinking progressive thoughts or even becoming aware of progressive ideas until college. So my transformation from super conservative to I don't even want to say far left because I'm like past that. And every day I realize that I'm more and more like progressive ideas are what to me feels like the right thing to do in a human way. I have some children that I try to raise with those beliefs. I have two, an 18-year-old and an 8-year-old. And we live in Portland with our 2 dogs. And that's me.
Well,
welcome,
thank
Jenny.
you, Jenny. We're so happy to have you.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yep, and we're going to get to our first topic. First of all, I know it's not a big holiday to everyone, but happy Juneteenth. Had to say that. We got the holiday.
Absolutely.
But of course, I would have loved to see reparations passed first, but that's just me. But irregardless, happy Juneteenth. This is now a federal holiday, the 11th. And we had one senator who thought he had objections, but someone must have gotten to him because all of a sudden he relinquished his objection to Juneteenth.
Who was that? Not Cornyn.
That was, I want to say Johnson, or was he?
Do you think it was Shane?
I can't think of his name, but he was a senator, and his base.
You know what state?
No, I can't think of the state. Why are you gonna ask me that? No, I'm joking. But he had some of the stupidest. We've had a black president, so that should just be good enough. I'm voting against it thing. Yeah. No, he was a congressman, not a senator. He was one of the 14 that voted against it, and I can't think of his name.
Was it Gosar? Was it Paul Gosar?
That's it. Why are people like this allowed to exist? Just why?
I don't know, but his family is out doing commercials against him, and they actually did a public apology for his ignorance and said he does not represent the Gosar family. It is delicious. I've watched that soap opera as much as I can.
May I say something? May I say something about Juneteenth? I'm glad they finally passed it. What I worry, and from both sides of the aisle, is them saying, okay, we gave you this. Leave us alone, shut your mouths.
Right.
We're throwing the hungry, starving people a little crumb. So now you can't come back in a couple decades about reparations and voting rights and police brutality. We'll give you the rest of the meal in a couple decades. I worry about that.
Or you'll never
see
it's
definitely a distraction. It's meant to be, look what we did for you. It took how many years for this, and we finally did this. When that's not what we were asking for in the first place. I'm glad that Juneteenth is a federal holiday. I think that it should be, but I think that it should have come with it real concrete legislation and change. Reparations at the least. I think like reparations is like the bare minimum at this point, and this is just kind of, here's your holiday. I'm gonna wink at you, and now we're all fine.
Right. You know what? I'm very surprised at of all the Black people who I'm friends on Facebook with. The majority of them are saying, "Okay, this is nice, but we want more." And I'm glad that's taking place because it used to be we were just so desperate for anything that we would just accept. We'd be like, "Oh, thank you," and now it's changing.
Yes.
And so I'm really, really glad about that. But you brought up a good point, Jenny. What I wanted to move kind of into our next discussion of our least favorite legislator, Joe Manchin.
Oh my goodness.
How'd you like that phone call?
Let me tell you something. I have a no curse rule on my show, but he made me come really, 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 really close. I don't understand. I do understand why the Democrats put up with him, because it's just not him that feels that way. There's other Democrats that feel exactly the way he does. It's just he gets to represent. He's the one that they said, okay, you take the public fall, and we'll scratch your back and you scratch ours.
Last time it was Kristen Sinema. Was, you know.
No, she's just a yahoo. No, she's out there. I think she was never for the progressive things that she campaigned on, because she hasn't done any of them.
Well, the reason I like that phone call is I've been in arguments with so many people, Democrats, when I say both sides are corrupt and they insist, no, it's just the Republicans. Right. Now I've got that phone call. I saved the link
folks,
to that.
I missed the phone call. Mickey, can I get some background on that phone call?
Oh my God, a think tank of billionaires.
Donors. Mm-hmm.
He's on the phone with them, and it's all recorded, telling them, basically, I want you to get a couple Republicans to vote for this so that it looks like I'm getting something done, and then offer them a job, which is illegal for doing it, and then I don't have to do anything else. And it was like a half-hour phone call.
Yeah, it was disgusting. Wow. When I heard that call, I'm like, why is he not being investigated?
Now, this is the question, though. Did this just hit our little independent media circles, or did mass media hear this and broadcast this? Because we know people don't watch independent media.
Like, I mean, do you count YouTube as mass media these days?
I would, but folks only give credence, especially mainstream folks, only give credence to your MSMs, your CNNs.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, Department of Justice must know about this by now.
Now, is this the same conversation where he was telling donors to give money to Republicans?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he was.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, he's trash.
Because they're gonna get ready to retire, and they're gonna need. They're
gonna need a job.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link, Alicia. You can listen to the call yourself.
Thank you.
But get ready to throw your shoe against the wall, because I think I threw a shoe, my phone, picked up something else. I'm just like, this is illegal. Why is there no investigation? There's nothing.
Wow. Well, I did see today that the DOJ is busy trying to prosecute the person that leaked from the IRS, that they're not going after the people with money. They're only going after the poor folks. So they may be too busy investigating, people, small people.
Well, they need to go after him because they dropped the case with Stormy Daniels, even with proof, with a signed check, with Rudy testifying that Trump did it, with Michael Cohen as a witness when it was done. They dropped that. They're thinking of dropping the E. Jean Carroll case. I mean, they've got spare time, so they might as well go after the whistleblower like we always do.
The E. Jean Carroll, I'm actually okay with, because they're trying to keep it from her being able to sue the DOJ and make it just on Trump. Because when she initiated it, that was against Trump's DOJ, because Trump was in charge. Why would they be suing the federal government for Trump? And especially when something he did as a private citizen. So I'm with that one, but I'm totally with you. They're just as corrupt as red DOJ.
Well, you have to remember, Biden is keeping his promise of nothing will fundamentally change. That's pretty much the only promise that he's kept.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
And I just can't. It's like I have two sides. One side, me can't believe that the electorate is just not paying attention to this. But then the
Oh, they're
other,
back to sleep. They're back
Yeah,
to sleep.
it's
They're
like-
out to brunch. Biden's here.
Yeah.
He's better. But he's better. However, he literally flipped on some reporters the other day in a very Trumpian fashion.
Oh,
And
yeah, he
when I
did.
tell you Blue MAGA fell all over themselves explaining it away and whataboutism because Trump was worse and da 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 da, and I just lost my mind because I found myself agreeing with Meghan McCain and I really wanted to gouge my eyeballs out. And she
Have
was
we
like, it doesn't
forgotten?
matter.
Yes.
Have they forgotten how many times he turned on his constituents at his rallies? They
Go
ask
vote
him
for
a
someone
question he
else.
doesn't like. Go
Yeah.
vote for Trump.
or he was ready to
What
fight them.
what did he call that woman? Someone a
Dog-faced pony soldier, which turns
What?
out it's
Yes.
a racial slur that one of our indigenous co-hosts let us know that was a racial slur against the Indians or the
I've-
indigenous
so
people.
so
Wow.
him doing that was nothing new. Have we all forgotten? He did this
Right.
constantly while he was campaigning.
But Mickey, why is the public if this were Trump, let's just say that Trump got reelected. Okay, first of all, I wouldn't be in the United States. But okay, let's just say that was Trump that did the same thing. Those same people that tried to explain away Biden doing that would be like, isn't he the worst president? Isn't he terrible?
Yes.
Well, no, they're both terrible.
Mhm.
They're both terrible. I don't understand. At one point, I understand why the electorate is asleep. But if we keep sleeping, I'm saying we because we're the electorate, if
Right.
we keep sleeping, it's going to turn into way worse of a nightmare than what's going on now. The time is now to do things, not to wait on whatever it is.
Oh, but no, because he's only been in office for 6 months, and you got to give him time and whatever bull crap they
Well,
blow
I had-
or
How much
smoke they
time-
I
blow
had
up.
that. I had that thrown at me a few days ago when they said only the number of months. I said, okay, here's what he promised to accomplish in the first 100 days, and I gave a list. I said, how many of those were accomplished?
The
They had nothing
vaccines,
to say.
I think that's it. I
the
think that's
vaccines,
it.
then he more than fulfilled that promise.
Mm.
That's the only thing I can think of that he did. But I'm like, let's just put it this way: the scientists really did the job.
Yep.
All he had to do
Absolutely.
is administer it. I mean,
Exactly.
is that really hard to do to coordinate states? I mean, yes, it's
So the
difficult.
bar is so low because
Exactly.
Trump was so bad.
Yes.
The bare minimum seems like the ceiling.
And he may have purposely downplayed his promise because he knew it was going to go that far. So when he surpassed it, people were going to, oh, yes, you did it. Thank
Exactly.
you.
But when
Mhm.
it comes up to the midterms, and this is what, not that I'm giving the Republican Party ideas. Here it comes. If I were a Republican and I'm running in the state of Georgia, the very first thing coming out of my mouth is he promised $2,000 checks.
$2,000. Yeah.
Here's your $2,000 check. I wouldn't say anything else.
But riddle me this, because he has a 61% approval rating.
Where did that
Now,
come
I
from?
get your 30% Trumpers, hardcore Trumpers that won't care whatever he does. So he's still horrible, right? So you're telling me there's only like 10% of progressives that are really paying attention? Because that means 61% of this country is literally thinking this fool is doing a good job. I don't understand.
Survey because
Did anybody notice when he was at the G7 that he talked them out of phasing out coal?
Yes, thank you, Joe
Well,
Manchin.
What
That was
does
an
West
impeachment
Virginia?
Manchin.
What does Manchin State produce?
Coal.
At the World
Wait a minute.
Summit, he talked them out of phasing it out. Coal has been on the decline for over 40 years.
Wait
We
a minute.
know what it
Nobody
does.
wants coal.
No
Wait a
one.
minute, Mickey. I'm sorry. Hold on, because I missed that. You're telling me that the scrub went all the way over to wherever that conference was in London, I think, and talked 6 other idiots out of coal
Out
decline.
of phasing it out. Yep.
Because for some reason we are the world's superpower, and which I don't understand because we're almost last in any developed country in medicine. We're last in almost any developed country in education. The only thing we have is our military, that we put more money into the corporations and the war fighter, not the actual military members. And that's it. That's all we have. So I don't know why on the world stage we're considered the best of the best, because we seem to be dead last of the last.
Yeah.
And when you think of coal, it's one of the biggest polluters. Number one, when you're mining it,
Yes.
and number two, when you're using it.
When you're, yeah.
And he talked, I mean, the whole world wants to phase it out, and he says no. Can you even wrap your head around that?
But I'm saying, okay, let's just say he's against it. He's saying, no, we should uptick it. Do you mean the other countries don't have the spine enough to say, you know what, we're going to decrease it anyway?
Because we're America.
Yeah.
Are you
we
serious?
are America. We are America. And nobody will stand up to us. But
Well,
for some reason, we kowtow to Saudi, but
Yeah.
neither here nor there.
Yeah, I think Jenny, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. In this situation, America's like your weird uncle, right? that he thinks that he's gonna, play vinyl and whatever else from the 50s of years ago. And everybody else is like, okay, uncle, whatever, you go ahead. We'll be over here with our digital stuff, but you go ahead and you do your thing with the coal and have fun.
Absolutely.
I believe that the rest of the world is just looking at us going, okay, whatever. As long as you'll agree to everything else, I don't care.
Exactly.
That is just, I totally missed that. I mean, I completely missed that.
I think I just saw it yesterday. It was probably a part of that Friday news dump. You know how they try to mesh it in so folks won't lose their minds, because the number one thing we're trying to fight, along with all the other problems, is climate change. So most folks would lose their crap knowing that we seem to be trying to, I guess, make America great again.
Please don't start with that phrase, because I keep arguing America has never been great.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well,
great.
It has been for.
It might have been in the 1490s. It might have been really awesome. 1450s.
And we did make a lot of progress in a lot of areas from the 50s to 1980. We were doing really well. A lot of people moved out of poverty into the middle class. We had the biggest economic boom in history with FDR's programs. People weren't starving. Jobs, infrastructure. What happened in the 80s?
People, yeah, so I'm with Talisha on that. A whole lot of it missed us.
Yes, but we also had a revolution with that. We had people, including white people, marching for civil rights, marching for gay rights, marching for women's rights, and we were taking little steps forward. Everything kind of came to a crashing halt 1980 when Reagan was elected.
Absolutely.
Well, Reagan's the initiator of all of Trump's policies.
Yep.
But I wanted to talk about something else before we get into our main topic. This is an old one, but it just keeps popping its ugly head. Matt Gaetz will not. He's like that part in the back of your foot when your foot is like, you need to, like, it's callous. He's that callus in the back of your foot you can't get rid of. Try. But there is some news that he might be charged in July. If that is true, what do you all think should happen to him? And say why you don't think it's going to happen, because I don't think anything's going to happen to him.
I think enough of the Republicans can't stand him. I mean, it's none of them like him. That he could be a sacrificial lamb. He could be the one time they say, well, how can you say we don't prosecute our own? Look, we'll let you have Gaetz, because they're getting so much evidence on him.
Yeah.
They can't deny it. And child sex trafficking is pretty serious. Prostitution, identity theft, all the things that he may have done are bad. But you say child sex trafficking, that's gonna hit a few more nerves.
I think he will be indicted. I think he will cut a deal. I think he'll pay a fine. I think he may have to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. But who cares when you're a rich person who comes from money? registering the sex offender doesn't matter when you can just fly to another country and violate those children, because they don't fall under the same laws as America, which barely you can call them laws because they only enforce it for poor people. So that being said, they may make an example of him. I agree with that, but there will be no repercussions, no real repercussions.
Hopefully he'll be kicked off out of the house.
You never can tell.
No, you sure can't.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Jenny. I'm sorry. I thought you had said what you wanted. You thought.
Oh, you know, for me, when it comes to Matt Gaetz, I'm of two minds of it. There's a mind that says we already know there's plenty of evidence, and even if I mean, he's a icky acting person.
Mm-hmm.
So that part of me thinks, okay, everyone else is going to see that ickiness about him, and they're going to see what's really going on. But then there's a part of me that thinks, you know, people have been okay with a lot of things and let it slide under the rug, and then maybe just make him go away quietly. That's happened in the past. So I'm hoping it goes the way that he is punished for what he's done. But I'm not very optimistic he will.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I do think he's going to get indicted, but my intuition tells me that he's going to be found not guilty. I don't know why I feel like that. I don't know where I'm getting this from, but my intuition says, yes, he'll get indicted, but he's not going to be found guilty. Because if you think about it, the trial would be in the state of Florida, unless it's federal. So all those Florida crimes, if he did get charged with them, you have idiot Governor DeSantis is probably ready to issue an immediate pardon. That's one thing that you have to think about. If it's federal, which would be the better deal, that is going to be a lot harder for him to get out. But I just can't see him being found guilty, although I wish it would happen. I wish he could be found guilty of those federal charges. I just don't see it happening. Because when you talk
don't forget though, Joel Greenberg, is that his name, his buddy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He is pleading guilty to several charges.
Several.
Now, if he's pleading guilty to them and is going to be punished for them, and Gaetz is guilty of the same crimes, how are they going to justify punishing Greenberg and not Gaetz?
But think about it, Mickey. Think about it in this sense. I'm bringing up something totally different. There was evidence out there that Joe Biden did what he was accused of against Tara Reade. But guess who's president of the United States?
True. Very true. Or look at Cohen and Trump. Cohen turned state's evidence. You know, he dropped all kinds of diamonds about what Trump did criminally. Trump has yet to be indicted, yet to be charged, nothing. So the rich have it and the poor do not.
Same with Cuomo.
Exactly.
I am not letting that rest.
No, the Democrats were so outraged when it was a Republican, and now it's someone in their party, and they're ignoring it. I haven't heard anything about it.
No.
Well, I'm not keeping my mouth shut on that, especially with my legislators, the state ones, because number one, his sexual advances towards women. I mean, it's up to like 10 now, but I'm a lifetime New Yorker. This isn't new. When his father was governor, there were accusations going around all the time, and he hid behind his father's office. So this isn't new. And then we forget that and move on to him taking a bribe from the nursing home industry, taking all this money, and then immediately after getting the money, pushing for a law of immunity from lawsuits from COVID. And then after years of cutting funding to hospitals, year after year after year, he has to send the elderly to these nursing homes because there's not enough beds in hospitals, which he caused. Then that's not bad enough.
Right.
Over 15,000 people he sent to nursing homes. Over 15,000 people died because he did that. And
And
then let's add the extra crime while filing federal papers reporting this. He only reported half of them.
Underreporting. Yeah.
How
Right.
much more do we need?
Right. And let's not
apparently,
forget, wrote a book and had his government staff working for
Right.
him, helping him write that book. It's totally illegal.
And then when there was a shortage of tests for COVID,
Oh,
he supplied over 100 tests for his friends and family, had state troopers pick up those tests and drive them to the labs for results.
Wow.
but it's Team Blue, so it's okay. It's fine when
No,
it's
it's
Team
not.
Blue
Sorry, not okay.
you know
at
what?
all.
I'm gonna throw in this wrench in here. I don't know, Talisha, if I agree with you, because remember when Al Franken was accused, and his accuser came out and said he didn't even harass me, but yet he was forced to resign by Democrats.
Sacrificial lamb. Weren't they in the process of putting all that judgment on Kavanaugh? So they had to show that they were just as hold your own accountable as what they were asking the rest of the world to do or the rest of the country to do. So he was a sacrificial lamb. How many other people have harassed in our Congress and in our Senate and nothing has happened to them? Countless. Look at Bill
I
Clinton.
think, oh God. I think that's one of the biggest problems for me in the Democratic Party is that progressives are not Democrats.
Right.
I don't vote all Democrat. I'm not interested in the Democratic Party as it is. But in order to avoid, the terrible, I think all of us have been like, okay, we have to come together and get away from this. Whereas we shouldn't. I mean, we should have come together as people, as constituents, and say none of this is okay, and we're going a different direction, rather than falling for the same old. You have to, better, lesser of two evils.
Right.
I think, and I think that's the biggest disappointment for me, as far as I'm a progressive and I don't belong in the Democratic Party.
Oh, you just said so much, because we talk about this all the time. It's like, look at what some of the mainstream corporate Democrats have said about progressives. I remember, what did Barack Obama say about a firing squad? He said
circular. He said it was a circular.
It was like he called, like, AOC was wanting to do something. It was like, oh, well, it's a circular firing squad. Are you serious? Are you?
What I've been saying is that Pelosi and all the corporate Dems are in right now, if they spent half the time bashing Republicans for their lies as they do progressives for telling the truth,
right,
we might accomplish something.
Right.
But she's too busy saying we need the Republican Party. Girl, if you don't sit in.
We need a strong Republican Party.
Yeah, but she's got people snowed. She's got folks walking around thinking she's the best thing since sliced bread. She's trying her hardest, but she's got to deal with the Republicans on the other side, so her hands are tied. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You lost 10 seats because you are so feckless. And what did they do? They reward her with the speakership again.
Aunt Alicia, you were wrong.
That's what
progressives fault that
really
those 10 seats.
Of course.
What aggravates me about the Democrats, the blue MAGAs are no different from red MAGAs.
At all.
I don't care who it is. I love Bernie.
Me too.
If he does something I don't like, that I disagree with, I have no problem telling the world I disagree with that.
Absolutely.
The Dems, they will not criticize their own.
And Nancy Pelosi has done and said so many embarrassing things just this year that make me want to apologize on behalf of white women, on behalf of progressive women. Right. Like when she won't say that she supports Black Lives Matter, but she will say that Black lives themselves matter. It's that is the same thing. And for her to separate it like that, like, no, you can't say Black Lives Matter, but not support the Black Lives Matter movement. And then after the Derek Chauvin,
you mean when she George Floyd for dying?
when she thanked
he
George
sacrificed.
Floyd for sacrificing
I
himself,
see.
and then she was talking about her poor white grandbaby girl's tears of how sad she was about this whole trial. Like, no, and
I didn't hear
not a
that.
single Black representative was in the background behind her, and then that was Ilhan Omar's district, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I was listening to that live and I yelled at her. I said, "Shut up."
See, I'm actually okay with that. I'm okay. Like, I hated that spectacle in Joe Biden's office of all the Black faces behind him. Like he was really doing something by signing this federal holiday for Juneteenth. No. Give me these Black faces behind you when you start actually enacting some policy that benefits Black and marginalized communities.
Maybe put the Black faces in front of you for a change.
Ugh.
Maybe just once.
Mm.
and maybe let the Black representatives do the singing, okay?
Oh, I think he was Black though. He just passed because you could hear it in his voice. So yeah, he's a part of the caucus. I don't know who he was. He tore up that song. I'll sing it for you guys sometime so you'll know how it really is supposed to sound.
Oh my God.
But he was a Black man. Some guy got up and did Lift Every Voice. And
oh no, the whole crowd was
atrocious.
doing it.
Yeah, but he led the charge.
Whole group. Oh,
well, Nancy wasn't because she didn't know the words. And it apparently didn't look like Clyburn knew it either.
Which was, you know what, I'd rather.
Voice insane.
It was some older guy, Black guy, but he could pass. Like literally, he's probably about Jenny and Mickey's complexion, but he's a part of the Black Caucus. I don't know his name and I don't know what he represents.
I thought you said he had passed, like he's no longer here on Earth. I thought you were saying he had passed, like, oh, I'm condolences to the family. Oh.
Who would you think I was talking about, Clyburn?
No, I thought you said he had passed. Like he had
thinking or hoping.
I'm sorry.
That would be
not nice.
Tracy doesn't feel
not
these
nice.
things.
Sorry,
like that.
But I still want to know from Talisha, who knows the words? Who knows literally all the words to Lift Every Voice and Sing?
I do.
I don't.
Some of them, I'm like, oh, I know the first verse and the fourth one. That's it. Second and third one, I'm like, nope.
And while we're at it, I also know the Korean national anthem. I've had to sing that when I was in Korea.
Did it, girl?
So, but I no longer sing the American national anthem because of the third stanza. So,
I didn't know about that until you guys told me. Didn't even know about that.
Arms because we've been talking about forever changing that song. Oh, you're trying to change our country. And then I think Macy Gray made the mistake of saying, let's change the flag a little bit. Oh my gosh, she needs to leave this country. And I'm just like, you're missing the point of America. America is supposed to be all about the freedom to express yourself. So why does she have to leave?
No, you have to express what they tell you to express. Because if you don't, you're crazy. Or
you mean you have to be like Candace Owens? Collective gross. Ugh.
Oh my God.
Some people make me want to say, Lord, why? I don't understand why. But then I say, okay, he had to put her there so I could stay aware because that's the only thing that I can even come close to.
Yeah.
Why?
Even though I know I'm going to get bashed for it, every time she comes up, I keep saying she's proof that there's such a thing as a Black-white nationalist.
Oh yeah.
And I know I need to put the umbrella up because the storm is coming.
So Candace Owens
can cover what she said real quick because that was
yes, please,
please, yes.
Topic.
She basically said that Juneteenth was just another way to resegregate our country, and if she had her way, she'd be celebrating 4th of July because she's an American. Well, let me tell you, Miss Azealia Banks, who is a rapper, she gave her the best retort, and I'm trying to find it right now because it was so amazing. I really feel the need to read this to you guys. It was basically to the point that if she was still celebrating 4th of July, she would still be in bondage because we were still in bondage when this country recognized its freedom. And that basically while her nipples grew tired from wet nursing some poor slave owners' children, and they were chapped, and then you were malnourished because you didn't get the food because you were too busy feeding these white folks who decided they were going to own people. that she would then get beat by that drunken uncle of that white slave owner because she wasn't doing her best. And then after she got done feeding everyone, then she'd be brushing the white slave owner lady's hair and putting her on her bonnet so she could sleep because she's so upset and frail. And then she would then be hung because the white slave owner lady would wake up the next day because she's so depressed and frail and be missing hair because she's so depressed. And then she'd have to blame the slave girl, Candace, for her missing hair. And then she'd be told to be lynched and killed. So Candace did not respond to that, which she shouldn't have, because she properly dragged her for the filth. And it was amazing.
That's a
I'll
lot.
be sure and send that to you guys so y'all can read it for yourselves.
She is never going to be invited to the barbecue ever, never, ever.
I think that if ever there was an argument for Black on Black crime, Candace Owens and what's his name? Clarence Thomas, who's no longer with us, but
Clarence Thomas died?
No, I'm misremembering, aren't I? Wait.
Clarence Thomas is the Supreme Court Justice.
Yes, I'm sorry, that's my mistake.
You mean Herman Cain?
That's who but Clarence Thomas too. I mean, but I will say this, I've had discussions, and I'll say heated discussions, with some of my coworkers in the past. And a lot of people that are on the side of the national anthem is patriotic and we should keep it forever and ever. They can't even tell me who wrote it, when was it written, and why. It was not written in 1776. It was written in 1812 during a very inconsequential war. And Francis Scott Key was writing it from a bunker, and he never meant for it to be what it is. Never. That was not the intent of that song. So, I mean, how can you argue for something that you don't even understand how inconsequential it is, and that we keep it just for the sake of keeping it because it shows our power?
Right.
And the thing is, there's so many things that we hold dear, like the national anthem, like the Pledge of Allegiance, like In God We Trust on our money, and none of those were original. They've already been changed to add those.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The founding fathers didn't want religion in our country. That was part of the reason why they left the Britain monarchy, because they were tired of taxes and they were tired of that imposed religion. So the simple fact that we have now wrapped ourselves in this red, white, and blue flag, singing a song about hunting down and killing slaves and whoever helps them, and are saying, you know, God must be in everything we do. Even though I have a religious background, I will never force that down anyone else's throat. The fact that this is American values, this wasn't even what this country was started about. And darn sure did not start because of freedom, because there were people that were in bondage and there was land that you stole and murdered over.
And people who make that argument fail to realize that the founding fathers were deists. None of them were Christian. Thomas Jefferson wasn't Christian. George Washington wasn't Christian. Neither of the Adams were. I mean, like, how? It's that propaganda again.
Yeah.
Because we have lawmakers, and I live in a very red state, so we have lawmakers literally proposing legislation to protect the flag. It's cloth. It's a piece of cloth. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and if we are religious, why are we worshiping false idols?
Exactly. It's like you don't read what you say you believe, and what you say you believe you don't do, because if you did, you'd be a whole lot more open to Medicare for all. You'd be a whole lot more open to universal basic income, but because you believe this whole idea of socialism is evil, minus the fact that we already live in a socialist society.
And minus the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, Jenny, I'm an atheist, so if I remember correctly, didn't Jesus give food stamps to the poor?
Yep.
Didn't he give Medicare for all to the poor?
Yep.
Didn't he say, love thy neighbor?
Yep.
Didn't he say don't throw stones?
I mean, the list of things that these fake evangelical Christians
Yeah.
preach. They don't practice.
Exactly.
No, and it makes the rest of us look bad. Like, look, we are not
Mhm.
all like them. I'm telling you, we are just not. We're not.
Yeah.
There's
But
some.
when I write it, I make the distinction. Like there was a thing about Jimmy Carter this week, and when I was talking about him, and I said Christian, I put a capital C,
Mhm.
Christian Carter. When I was talking about the fake ones, I put parentheses and a small c.
Mhm.
Because I make a distinction. There is a distinction between real Christians and fake Christians.
Absolutely.
Well, and it really gets me that representatives were worried that Ilhan Omar might vote for, based on her Muslim ideas.
Ugh.
And that just really, like, you can stand there in front of the whole country and say, I'm voting because the Bible says this
Mhm.
is how I
Mhm.
should vote. But I don't want anyone else's religion to vote what their book
Yeah.
says. Only
Right.
my book.
Yeah, if we don't. And
You
I
know,
don't.
what cracked me up when she took the oath of office on the
Quran.
Quran. Yeah, that was, you know whose Quran that was? Thomas Jefferson. He took his oath of office on that.
I did
I
not
think it was
know
really?
Thomas
that.
Jefferson. I think it was Thomas
Thomas
Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson was never president. Oh, yes, he was. That's my
No.
fault.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I was like, oh gosh.
oh no.
the third one.
Let me go look.
I know, right? Every time someone talks about Thomas Jefferson, my head goes straight to Alexander Hamilton.
Mm.
Oh,
So
the musical.
it's
Yes,
because of
he
the play.
took it on the Quran.
Mm.
Wow.
He took his oath on the Quran.
Mm. Well,
That's
I have no
interesting.
love for Thomas Jefferson, the
Yeah,
rapist.
I'm
No,
like,
but
well,
but if
listen,
he can take it on the Quran, why can't Ilhan Omar?
see, this
Because
is
that's a
I think
fact
it should
that
be
they
taken.
don't want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be taken on the Constitution. That's the oath you're supposed to uphold as the
True.
president.
Here's what I will say about the whole oath, no oath for all of our Christian friends out there. You're not even supposed to take an oath. You do what you say you're going to do. Let your yeses be yes, your no's be no. Don't take an oath on a Bible. It's clearly in, I think, one of the Gospels, but I forget which one. You're not supposed to take an oath. Like, no oath, period. You just do what you say and say what you do and be done with this whole oath, not oath. And
Sure.
why do so many people in this country forget? This is supposed to be a democracy, not a theocracy. We
Right.
don't have a government based off of one religion. And if I would remind my Christian friends, if we did, that faith would not be Christianity, it'd be Islam. So I think you need to sit down, shut up, and let everybody else have their rights.
Well, did you see the Catholics are trying to prevent Biden from taking communion because he is supportive of abortion rights? I still don't know how true that is. And I'm like, great. Now let's tackle that pedophilia problem. Like, I think we need to pick our battles here.
Yeah, apples and oranges.
Apples and oranges, really. I'm like,
Did you see Ted Lieu's response to that?
No, what did he say?
He's a Catholic, a practicing Catholic, and he said, "I dare you to take away my right to communion."
Wow.
He was pissed.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was not happy.
You mean he took Joe Biden's side, or is he saying that they were right in refusing communion?
Oh
No, he was angry with the church. Angry with the church for saying that.
Because he's a Catholic and pro-choice as well.
Okay, see, now I didn't want to get down this sense. They know they can serve them. See, I don't want to get down this road. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm like, you can serve communion. Oh, goodness.
I have some
Guess I
crackers
just
and
feel-
some wine in my cabinet right now. I will give you communion.
I'm just like, I'm like, no. What do they
Guess
think?
I just feel this is a
to do. I'm like, okay.
yeah.
Oh gosh,
I feel like this is a pick your battles moment. Like the simple fact is there is so much going on in the world.
Yeah,
and the Catholic Church has so much money. Like, let's maybe tackle that homelessness problem. Let's tackle the kids that are in need right now that are here. And then maybe we can go pray for the souls of the wayward sinners that are.
What do you mean the church has so much money? They are so broke from all the lawsuits that the Catholic Church put in for and received over $1.4 billion in PPE.
That is crazy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
I think we
Oh
need
my
to tax
gosh.
churches immediately. I
Yes,
think,
heck yes.
I
Especially
mean,
when
they
they weigh
have,
in on political arguments.
Yeah, and if you're, and you know, again, to my Christian friends that are watching, I say it should be all nonprofits because I don't want to seem like I'm just coming after church. No, they should be taxing the United Way because they have billions of dollars sitting around. American Red Cross, Easter, all of the NFL, that's a nonprofit.
the NFL is a
The
nonprofit.
NFL is a nonprofit. You're talking to a football girl. Yes, the NFL is a nonprofit. The NFL is a nonprofit, so is the NBA, so is the NBL.
Disgusting.
Wow.
But let's make sure we only get $1,400 in means test, whatever little bit of money, because we got to make sure the poors aren't getting over.
It's so ridiculous how people in this country get distracted by stupidity. I'm like, you all are sitting here talking about, well, the one I hear all the time, and it always makes me want to throw something. They took prayer out of school. Are you serious? We still have the First Amendment, genius. What?
No, we don't. No, we don't. Not the way they're curtailing the freedom of protesting, assembly,
no,
freedom of speech.
That's not what I mean, though, Nick. Let me finish, though. Let me finish.
Okay, I'll shut up.
In school, decides to pray, that teacher cannot tell them, hey, you can't pray. We all agree on that, right? We all say that's right. The teacher, what I keep explaining to people, can't lead the whole classroom in a prayer.
Force them.
Correct.
I don't know. It's like, why are you all? It's like, I don't know whether the media has something to do with this or people just stuck on stupid. It's like, wait a minute. No, this isn't making sense. You can't argue this and you're not seeing this point because the law actually says this, but you're making it sound like freedom of speech doesn't exist in the school setting. Now, I know, Mickey, yes, they're taking away our rights to protest. Absolutely. But I'm talking about just in specifically the school setting. That's what I was talking about.
Yes, ma'am. I'll tell you why they think that. I went to a very religious school as a child, and every morning we pledged allegiance to not only the American flag, but the Christian flag and the Bible every day. Every Wednesday, we would be in chapel and we would hear a sermon. And so many times they would say to us kids that we shouldn't be out in the world because they don't let you pray out in that world. They don't let you tell other people about Jesus in that world, and so many other things that the outside world does not permit or does not allow for. So when they're getting to be adult age, they're going to continue spitting that rhetoric to their children. And it's a very hard cycle to get out of. Yeah, but very hard cycle.
I agree with you because, you know, you saw my dad's picture. We were not, I mean, we were raised, maybe my parents were liberal and I just didn't, well, no, they weren't. But it's like people don't have sense. If you even sat and thought about it, like in practice, you can say almost anything you want except for fire in a crowded room. You can't go into a crowded room and say fire because everybody's going to run for the door.
It's definitely fear mongering.
I think that's it. And that's like, that's not the way you do it, people. You do it this way. Right. And I'm just
Jenny's right though. That brainwashing
brainwash is real.
It is. And until you get out and get exposure and actually are open to learning new things, you will never get it. Because my mother is, I think she's 67 this year. I think 68, one of those. And she still has not a hatred. I don't want to say a hatred, but she has that belief that being gay is wrong and they're going to hell. And it wasn't until I got as an adult and got exposed and met people that I realized, hold on, that's not right. That's not right. But it depends.
You realized it. You realized it.
Thankfully,
the thing is, you realize what is it about people that makes us realize things sometimes at a young age.
Right. Especially you, Mickey. Mickey knew. Mickey was an ally back in elementary school.
That's amazing.
That's when I started my search. I started my search on Native Americans from watching. As a little kid, I'm going to be 73 soon, Jenny. So I'm an old fart. But there was all the stuff on television back then was cowboys and Indians, and it bothered me the way they were slaughtering Indians. I can't tell you why. It just bothered me, and I would ask questions in school, and I would get answers that didn't make me happy. So I would go to the library, and I was a nerd who was always in the
I love
library.
the
And
library.
and I would look and look, and I learned so much about Native Americans and what we did. And that eventually led to Mexicans and what we
Yeah.
did to them, and then African Americans. And that started, in the late 50s, early 60s, long time ago. And why
Good
did
for
I
you.
question that? And the church. I mean, I wanted to leave the Catholic Church long before I did. My parents wouldn't let me until I was 16. But for several years before that, I'd had enough of the bull.
Good
Why
for
do
you.
some people reject that early on? Why? And then others don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are good questions.
Yeah, and not to leave it on that bad topic, but we do got one more topic before we go into our break. Well, Chantel Brown now has the curse on her this week. I was so happy. When Hillary, I can endorse the right candidate, endorsed her for the congressional seat that our own, not our own, because she's not a panelist, but we love her still, Nina Turner.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts on why Hillary did this, but I'm going to let you guys go first, and then I'm going to jump in after you guys.
Did you see the meme? Did you see the meme that's been going around, or the GIF I made?
The Grim Reaper?
Yeah.
I was going to give you a shout out for that. That made my day.
There's a meme out there. I didn't make the meme with her. All these doors with blood coming out from under them, and people like Elliot Engel and all the people she's backed who have blood coming out from, and here she is in her black Grim Reaper outfit knocking on Chantel's door.
I love it. I was like, shout out to Mickey. I started smiling.
No, I didn't make that. I didn't make that one.
Yeah, well, you posted it to me, so I was so happy to see that. I was like,
I made the gift. I made the gift thanking Hillary for.
I was so happy. I don't know why, but I was like, yes, thank you.
Hillary is hated, and her betting against you is like the best money you can get for you.
Because did you see? I posted. I went to Twitter to look because somebody else said to me, "You have to go to Twitter to see how Hillary is getting slammed for this." So just for the heck of it, I looked. Hillary, who is not just a national figure, she's a worldwide figure.
Yeah.
She has 30,000 followers on Twitter. So just for the heck of it, I went to Nina's. Here she is, just a little local politician, not even a state politician, a local one. She has 472,000 compared to Hillary's 30. And I've been plastering that all over the
place. Well, we all know we love our girl. And Hillary just did us the biggest favor by backing her opponent. Thank you, Hillary. We couldn't have got here without you.
Yeah, we would have, but
I have to wonder.
Okay, ahead, Jenny.
The same way I wondered with Donald Trump. Sorry, my power just went out. I wasn't sure. Is this man so crazy and so self-unaware that he's doing these things, or is he perfectly aware and being a complete swear word on purpose? I didn't swear. See,
he's been like that his entire life. He's been like that his entire life.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder: are these people just painfully self-aware because they grow up in a completely different world than the citizens do?
Yes, well, they're definitely in a bubble. They're definitely in a bubble because for
And
some
he had his
reason.
father. His father trained him well. His father was a real bit was a bad guy.
Piece of work.
He's a swear word.
And his father trained him. And not only that, but his father constantly berated him for being stupid and useless and no good.
That's
Mm.
So
terrible.
that's what he grew up thinking. He saw how his father did business deals.
Hmm.
You know, that it's been again in New York. There's a lot of stories about him that never got past New York papers because, why would the rest of the country care? And I mean, going back, his father was arrested at a Klan rally.
Oh my
You know,
God.
people were complaining, oh, sure, nobody said he was a racist until he became president. Excuse me, in the early 70s, he was cited for discriminating against people of color. He would not let anybody but whites rent from him. He was cited for it. He paid his fine. 2 years later, he was cited again. That was almost 50 years ago. We were calling him a racist 50 years ago.
Right.
No, he hired Omarosa. So that counts. So
And Ben Carson. Don't forget Ben Carson.
and Ben
Oh.
Carson, who spent all that money on decorations for his office, but couldn't figure out how to keep rents low. But anyway, I got a couple of thoughts on Hillary Clinton endorsing Chantel. One, this is totally out of spite. This is completely out of spite. She hates Bernie Sanders so bad because she blames him. Apparently, the 35 times that he campaigned for her wasn't enough. More to get her elected, which she didn't do squat to get Obama elected, but I'm going to let I'll set that one aside for just a moment. Totally being petty. Yeah. Second thought, I'm so glad that Nina had her highest fundraising day when she announced her endorsement of Chantel. It was like, You want to be petty? She is on. I thought Nancy Pelosi was petty, which she is, but Hillary's got her way top because she's being extremely petty. If you notice in that endorsement, she didn't say why you should vote for Chantel. Didn't say she's gonna do anything. What is this Chantel Brown going to do? I have not heard her say anything, and I'm not trying to play her hate or be disparaging to someone who hasn't said anything, but she hasn't said anything.
Exactly.
I'm waiting to see when Hillary made that announcement. Nina was polling at 50%. Chantel was polling at 15%.
Wow.
Which means the people have spoken. And as usual, Hillary and the corporate Dems said, F you to the people. Yeah, we're going with the 15%er instead of the 50%er.
And I think this is a clue to those donors. Hey, give Chantel some money because she's going to need it.
Oh, yeah.
Big clue. I'm still wondering what underhanded thing the Democrats, I'm just like, I don't trust the corporate Democrats. I'm like, they're going to pull out something. And I'm telling you two things.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to pull out either the former person who held that seat is going to come out and endorse Chantel Brown. That's one thing I definitely expect to happen.
I don't think so. Marcia Fudge is pretty progressive.
Not
as progressive. She's pretty progressive. She's got some progressive legislation.
I think the corporate Dems are going to come out and endorse Chantel.
I think it's
and Chantel's money is going to go
way up
exponentially, so she can buy
and don't forget the Black Caucus will come out.
Yep, they're going to come out. I think what's going to happen is she's going to endorse Chantel Brown. I think there's going to be a Barack Obama endorsement coming out pretty soon. And I'm almost certain that a Joe Biden one is not, and a Kamala Harris it's going to be all close. I could be completely.
I don't know if they can. Right? Like, I don't think Trump would do it, but I don't think Biden would. He'll hide behind the whole, I don't want to put my finger on the button, which basically means I don't want to reveal my true colors.
I think
Kamala, what has Kamala done? Do you know anything Kamala stands for other than the fact that there's no racism in this country? I don't see her stepping out on that ledge.
What does she stand for?
Nothing.
Telling immigrants after we wrecked your country and caused chaos and violence, you can't come here.
As the daughter of immigrants, make sense. Make that one make sense.
That doesn't. But I think there's going to be some huge name that's going to endorse Shontel Brown because she's going to, and I fully expect her to campaign on I'm going to support President Biden's agenda. I'm starting out, I'm like, a big name's coming, and she's going to say she supports Biden's agenda. I know.
I agree.
Gonna happen.
I agree, but you know, these idiots don't seem to realize, you know, this isn't running for governor of the whole state. This isn't running for president. This is running for one section of a state. And if those people, obviously the people in that section of that state love her. Don't they realize that?
Think about what Nina represents. And this is why I think the DNC is going to pull something. They don't like her. Let's just keep it 100% real.
Absolutely.
They don't like her because she supported Bernie. She called Joe Biden a half pile of manure when she should have called him the whole pile. But hey, that's just me. I think they're going to pull out every dirty trick they possibly can.
I do too.
I don't see them seeing this as a minor seat because if Nina wins, or no, let me backtrack that. When Nina wins, other progressives are going to be like, you know what? I can do this too. I think that's what they're afraid
of. And I think because she's so powerful and so well loved, they're afraid of what we're hoping for. That when she gets in, she'll be able to kick the butts of the other progressives and say, all right, get behind me. Let's start.
Bull in a China shop, baby. She's going to be a bull in a China shop.
I hope so.
I hope so too, because the progressives need, I'm like, y'all need a cup of coffee or something. Wake it up, wake it up, wake it up. But this is the portion of the program where we go on our 5-minute break. I'm going to pause, audience, and we will be back in 5 minutes, and we'll see you all later.
Go away.
Hello, everyone. We are back for the second portion of our show, and we're doing something a little bit special. I asked a couple weeks ago for this show if we were going to write the president a letter, what would it be that we would say in the letter? So I'm going to let everybody else go first before I take out mine. Who wants to jump in first with their letter? Anybody?
I will.
Okay, go.
Dear Mr. Biden, if you do not push your party using either carrots or sticks, which you have available many, if you don't start pushing them to end the filibuster, to start passing legislation, end of next year, you are handing the House and or the Senate to the Republicans. And if you don't take these steps, I have to believe that you and a bunch of top corporate Democrats do not want these policies to pass. You're just telling us you do so that everybody will love you, but you don't want them. And unless you prove you do, I will keep telling people you don't want them.
Well, Mickey, that's how you started off right there. That was great. You said
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a whole lot to say. I'm like, well, let's yeah, because he certainly seems to be playing. It's like he wants to lose.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Jenny's away with her dog. Looks like.
Okay.
Talisha or Jenny, which one do you want to go next?
I'll go. Trust and believe I did not have to write this down. It's on a constant loop in my head. Dear Uncle Joe, you're a liar. You have not done. You need me to speak up? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we were having trouble hearing you.
Okay, can you hear me? I'm good. Dear Uncle Joe, you are a liar. You have not fulfilled any of the promises that you lied about on the campaign trail. I am very displeased with your administration and your lackluster vice president. I am very displeased about how you lied to get in office, yet you steadily sit there and say you're for America and America can do anything while you let people starve, you let them go without health care, and you let them go without basic freedoms. I am very angry that you have decided to uphold the race soldiers in the police forces as opposed to holding them accountable for killing and murdering people who, at the very least, deserve a judge and a trial. So at this point, I give you an F for your presidency. I honestly do not see the difference between you and Trump. And other than you just not going on TV and becoming a complete pig, you are still a very, very disingenuous and racist person. And I hope that at least for the next couple of years, you do the least amount of harm like I voted for you to do, because I did not expect for you to do anything. You've excelled those expectations and did less than nothing. And so here's hoping that an actual progressive will come and challenge you in the next couple of years. That way we don't have to see whatever Red MAGA has in store for us. I bid you a adieu. Adieu. Okay.
Wow.
Sign a very unhappy citizen.
Throwing shade. I love it.
Wow. Okay, Jenny, you go next.
Well, so you said no swearing, so my letter's very short.
Perfect.
So, you know, I can't say, I would have to say to whom it may concern, right? You're not dear anybody. Mr. President, thank you for the $2,000 checks that you promised us. It did a world of good for all of us. And for canceling student debt, that was great too. I'm free of student debt thanks to you. And Medicare for all, that was a big one. I'm really, oh wait, these are the things you promised to do, but you have not yet done. So I guess I'm not really sending this letter anyways. The only thing that I have to say that he did that made me happy was defeat Donald Trump. I think the rest of it is just noise.
Well,
sincerely.
You all kept your letter short. I went the long preacher route on mine. I'm like, wait a minute. So
I didn't write a letter. I didn't write a letter. Like Talisha, it's been going around in my head for months.
So I wanted, before I get to my letter, because mine has a little bit of humor because I have to be me. What, like, if you could really, really talk to Biden, I'm pretty sure you would all say exactly what you just said with a couple of words that aren't allowed on this show. Anyway, fairly certain of that. But what part of the letter would you really say? Because I know none of you are going to cut short what you would say. It would just not happen that way. So what?
Biden, grow a set and make believe you're a leader.
Whoa.
I don't know if I'd even send him a letter. Biden is stuck in his ways. He doesn't want real change, just like Nikki said. And anything we've said, or even if we were able to speak to him in person, will fall on deaf ears. He will hit us with a bunch of platitudes and the right words to say, yet follow it with no action. At this point, the only thing we can hope is that we don't fall into another war, we don't fall into another pandemic, and we don't fall into a massive, massive financial bubble that's about to collapse, because there will be nothing behind it other than bailing out more rich folks and poor people sinking further into the ground and the middle class being totally obliterated. So honestly, there is nothing I can say to Biden other than please hurry up and let these 4 years be over.
Yes.
Yep, that's pretty much. So I'm going to do mine. So first of all, like Jenny, I don't even feel comfortable calling you president. There's nothing that you've done that has deemed you to be president. The only reason you were ever president is because the DNC decided that you were the best one out of a bunch of other corporate Democrats. In my mind, Bernie Sanders should be president of the United States. You're never going to make me change my mind. You pretended, or you did a really good job, which I'm going to actually compliment you on, of fooling people for voting for you. Now, I know some people voted for you because Trump is worse, and Trump is terrible, trust me. But really, if you look at your character, you're no different than what he is. You both have rape allegations against you. You both want to increase the military's budget. You're both against Medicare for all. So I really can't see any difference between you and the orange person that occupied the seat before you. I think your presidency, if you want to call it that, is a complete failure. You got COVID right, but it wasn't due to your own organization. It was due to the people that surrounded you, thank goodness. But that is very basic what you got right. Everything else you've done has been terrible. Let's start off with the $2,000 checks that never appeared. This is a pandemic, which we are still in. And yes, we do have vaccines, and yes, they seem to be working, but people are still financially struggling. So instead of being open to a monthly based income, you somehow convinced progressives that a $2,000 check was coming. So they said, oh, vote for Joe. But then a couple of days after the election, you decided, you know what? 1,400, you already got 6. So I'll just make up the 1,400 and that equals 2,000. Well, sir, it does not. A $600 check is a $600 check, and a $1,400 check is a $1,400 check. And yes, they do add up to 2,000. But really, what is $2,000? $2,000 is enough to pay for what? A couple of car payments, maybe rent, maybe mortgage. If employees are giving raises to people, if landlords are deciding not to evict people, that $2,000, while I think it's not nearly enough, was at least something to say, you know what, I understand what you're going through. I'm also disappointed that there hasn't been enough talks about future monthly checks. We need a monthly income for all Americans making under, I would say, $100,000, because really $100,000 a year, really, if you think about it, isn't a whole lot of money. I think we need that income. I think that we need Medicare for all, but you're against it. So while you're okay with us paying for your health care, you have some kind of intellectual problem paying for mine. That makes no sense, but yes, it does, because you take money from corporate interests. So I say, I hope you lose the House. I hope you lose the Senate. And the way I'm feeling, I hope you lose the presidency, because your administration stinks. It is awful. It is terrible. I've always been taught you respect your elders, but I don't have any respect for you. Your so-called black and convenient vice president, your cabinet, which you only got one of those right, which thank goodness you did get one right. I have no respect. I can't wait for a progressive to run against you so I can vote against you. And like I said, I hope the House is lost. I hope the Senate is lost. I shouldn't feel this way, but your presidency is a complete and utter failure. Sincerely, not yours. Boy, go home.
Nice.
That's my letter to so-called President Biden.
I thought of something as you were speaking regarding the $2,000 checks in Georgia. I'd never thought of it this way before. But not only did I want to say Obama, might as well be the same person, Joe Biden, he made himself look like a liar and a user. But every organizer that went out to get the vote for him, I'm thinking of Mondale Robinson with Black Male Voter Project.
Yep.
And other organizers like him who went out and convinced people who don't participate in our politics because they never see anything change. He convinced them they would convince these people to come out, and Black voters came out in record numbers in Georgia.
Right.
And now all of those constituents that said, you guys, I came out and voted for you because you said this was going to happen, and this didn't happen. Next time they come around, they're going to be a lot less likely to vote.
Absolutely.
I did that last time and I got nothing for it.
Right.
Exactly. It's like he didn't even think. If he had just made good on the $2,000 promise, just do that.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's literally nothing. You keep $2,000. I can pay my rent for 2 months, a couple car payments, my insurance premium on my car. That's pretty much it. It's not going that far.
And then they
You know, I almost wonder how many times has he run for president? 3 or 4?
3.
It's almost as if all he wanted was to win the presidency.
Oh yeah.
Period. Now he's got that on his resume. He can brag that he was president. He doesn't want to be president anymore. He doesn't care. He just wanted that title.
Yeah, Joe Biden.
That's what I think.
Joe Biden has been running for president since I was born, way back. And that audience, I'm going to tell my age, 1974. That's 47 years he ran. He lost he dropped out the first time because he got caught lying for plagiarism. The second time he was pretty much the same thing. And the third time he dropped out because he said that Obama was clean cut and articulate, and that put back on him. So he got picked vice president. But we didn't want you. We just didn't want the other guy. We just didn't want him. We don't like you.
All right. His claim to fame will be, I'm not the other guy.
Talisha, when you called him uncle, were you meaning the creepy uncle that makes it dance? Okay, because I'm like,
absolutely.
Or like Uncle Sam.
I don't call him that. All I call him is Biden. I don't say Mr. Biden. I don't say Mr. President. I don't say President Biden. All I call him is Biden because, okay, as far as respecting your elders, he's only a few years older than I am. And as far as I'm concerned, respect is earned.
Not given.
Absolutely.
When it comes to respecting your elders in that sense, it doesn't mean respect the people that are older than you. It means respect the people that are higher than you, people who you look up to. Not just because this person's older than me, I have to respect them. I'm going to respect the people that I deem respectable.
Right. Well, I personally do respect my elders. Folks that are older than me, they will always get the customs and courtesies until they prove me otherwise. Get me alone in the room with Jim Clyburn.
Completely fair. Yeah.
I agree with that.
But the one thing, Tracy, if I can say, with your letter, the only thing I would take a little bit of issue with is I hope you lose the House and the Senate. I think at this point, as minimal as a low bar as they're passing, covering, crossing, whatever, I think they are at least the thin line between us losing total freedoms. I think they are trying to take our voting rights. They are trying to take education out of school that would at least let people know that you're not 40 years old like Talisha and finding out that Dr. Seuss was a racist. You know what I'm saying? So they are the thin line between us and total, authoritarianism when it comes to these Republicans.
I get what you're saying, but the reason I say I hope that is because they need to wake the tarnation up.
Did it wake them up the last time?
I'm going to disagree with you, Talisha. I'm going to disagree with you.
I hope they lose.
Just because they're not blocking people from voting. What are they doing to stop the Republicans from blocking people from voting?
They're doing nothing.
As long as, it's the same, I feel it's the same argument that people say, well, there are some good cops out there. Well, if the good cop sees a bad cop abusing someone and doesn't stop him or doesn't report him, just because he's not abusing, he's still a bad cop. Same thing.
I agree with you. However, if they take over federally, they will pass these laws federally. At least we can stand on the thought process that, mostly red states are doing this foolishness and blue states can still have some type of freedom. And then there's somebody in the local level that can fight. If they have totally taken over the government, like they did when Trump was first elected, we will be up its creek without a paddle. You saw they're already coming for pro-choice rights in the Supreme Court, and I don't know how long before it's passed. You know, they've already tried to come for the little bit of crap Obamacare. So no, they're not good. They're not
You know,
preferred.
New York is a very, very blue state. I mean, we vote blue. There's no two ways about it. We are, we have just had a proposal for Medicare for all statewide. It was voted down.
No.
We have had a number of laws on the that are looking to be passed now, voting laws, no better than the ones down south. What
Yeah,
hope is there if the blue states are doing this?
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where I say that Nikki is saying exactly the reason I said I hope they lose the Senate and I hope they lose the House and I hope they lose the presidency because I'm so tired of them. Look how the voting rights. Listen, fully to Alicia what I say, and you can still disagree with me. That's fine.
Listening.
Look at how they taken the voting rights and have let Joe Manchin just totally take that and make it swap.
Yeah.
Now the Voting Rights Act is down to yes, you have to show ID, but it can be your light bill or your gas. No, it shouldn't be any ID. You should just be able to show up, say, my name is Tracy. Well, wait a minute, let me backtrack. Voting ballot should be mailed to you in the first place. Let's get that off the table.
And registration should be automatic.
And registration,
Absolutely. That's how it is here in Oregon.
You are automatically registered to vote. But
Yeah.
what do they do? Oh, Joe Manchin has to find 10 Republicans who've already said they're not going to do anything that Joe Biden wants. So, no, you're going to keep rolling with that? Goodbye.
Yeah, but did that help when Obama lost the House and the Senate?
Well, Obama lost the House and Senate because he backtracked on everything he said.
But this is my point. What did they learn? And then Trump got all three. What did they learn? They learned nothing. So we would really be cutting off our noses to spite our face. Yes, I think they're terrible guys. Don't
yes.
think of me saying this little bit of shield is some kind of great thing. I think they're terrible. If I could vote them out today, I would, and replace them with 1,000 Nina and Bernies. Okay. But my point is, unfettered, the Republicans will do their worst.
So you'd rather have a Joe Manchin than a Bernie?
No, I'd rather go primary his butt when we have the opportunity. But I don't want to say we lose all advantage, whatever little advantage that is, because it will get worse. It got worse. We saw these last 4 years. They were bad. Yeah,
but you know they're going to lose the Senate. You know that, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Has no chance of beating Marco Rubio, who I really want to throw up when I say his name. Really, if little old Rahm Emanuel makes me sick, Mark Rubio, he's second. Like, but they have literally, what are they campaigning on? What literally is a Democrat going to campaign on?
But that's not losing a Democratic seat. That's an already red seat. I'm talking about the little bit we have, that little one person advantage we have. Is it even one person? Actually, we got a 50-50 advantage and Kamala's the vote, right? So we may, but it won't be better if we lose. Look at what Mitch McConnell did. You know what I'm saying? He was terrible. Don't get it twisted. I'm not caping for these corporate Democrats. I can't stand them. My point is, McConnell is the devil. Well, we know, but I'd rather dance with the devil I know. And as much as I can't stand them and I want them all gone, I want a primary Schumer, I want a primary Pelosi, I want a primary Gillibrand, I want a primary all these suckers. I want them all gone. But I'd rather us come for them than the Republicans come for us to teach us a lesson, because we haven't learned anything in the last 8 years. We haven't learned nothing.
Okay, Jenny, I'm gonna let you jump in because we kind of pushed you out there.
No, that was lovely.
Jenny, we're very passionate and we're not shy, so come out fighting.
Yeah, you're gonna have to swing a little bit.
I think that what we've been doing, or what our representatives have been doing, is not really it's not really indicative of us having any kind of advantage. And for odd reasons, like whatever a Senate parliamentarian is, right? and then Kristen Sinema, she's a Democrat, but she's voting against Democratic bills. And Joe Manchin, he's not letting us get rid of the filibuster. And I don't think I've even heard a peep from Chuck Schumer, who is
Right.
meant to be in charge of that. You know, he's meant to be keeping our party members in line. Why is this happening when we've worked so hard to get where we are, to get representatives that are going to speak on behalf of the people,
Right.
and they're not being held responsible to their own party? It's so it really doesn't, I mean, it's not going to make a difference, I think, whether we have the leader, whether we don't, because the Democrats don't take initiative. They don't use what they have as an advantage. They just say, okay, now there's more of us. We can go to brunch and
Collect more money.
yeah.
Well, Schumer came out and said he wants to end the filibuster. Is he pressuring Manchin or Sinema or anybody else?
And then Nancy Pelosi said, because you know it has to go through both the House and the Senate, she said that she wasn't even going to hear any type of bills that would end the, like, are you serious, lady? Are you
And this
serious?
is why it doesn't matter. This
Yeah,
is
that's
why
what I'm saying. They do
the Progressive Party should not be part of the Democratic Party.
No.
Exactly. I'm so glad we got you, because that is right. That is like 100% right. Look at what they do. You know, when they lose, if they lose one or keep the other one, they're going to blame progressives. We already know that.
Yes.
Right.
Look at what
Absolutely.
Alicia's favorite representative, Joe Clyburn, did.
Jim.
Jim, whatever his name is, the sellout. Like, he stood there and said, "Oh, it was defund the police." Boy, if you don't sit yourself down somewhere, if you don't, that's what we should do. We should have if you don't sit yourself down award, because some of these, I'm like, y'all need to really stop. Why?
I would have given that award to Nancy Pelosi when she said that.
I'm
sit down.
I'm gonna give it to Maxine Waters because she's worse. She got Porter off of her committee when she was doing an outstanding job, just doing a great job. Oh,
because Porter's messing up the church's money. That's why.
Yeah,
it's so sick. It's so sick.
It makes me sick, and that's
and Schumer, my senator. But I'll tell you, we have some real winners coming out of New York. My senator, we have not heard a peep from him in 4.5 years. Nothing. He's up for re-election next year. All of a sudden, he woke up.
You know,
now he's starting to talk.
Because he's afraid AOC is going to primary him. That's why he's like, I better start talking. I better start talking.
But at this point, you guys, at some point, we got to stop blaming these politicians. We got to start blaming the electorate. You keep putting feckless upon feckless upon feckless back in office for years. Yeah. There's no reason why somebody should be in the Senate for 40 plus years. I love me some Bernie Sanders, but I guarantee you, if he had somebody coming behind him that could take the reins, he'd gladly step down. Because there's no reason you should be in the Senate for 40 years.
I think that if, and I'm going to say the youth, it's going to make me sound old, but early 20s, kids that are just starting to vote and be a part of it, they don't come out as much for senators and congresspeople.
Absolutely.
And that's why these people are staying for 40 years, because if kids were looking at this old man and being like, you don't represent me in any way, we don't have the same values. And I think that that's probably a miseducation purposely done to our youth. Is we get really excited about voting for president, right? And then everything else is just like, do they even know what the senator is responsible for and why it's so important to vote?
You wouldn't believe, never mind just the youth, some of the discussions I've had over the past couple of years, the ignorance of the electorate. I had a woman tell me outright, the Senate is the only one, the Senate is the only one that writes bills. And they control the purse strings. I gave her, I just said, I don't get angry at these people until they get really stupid. There's a difference between ignorant difference between ignorant and stupid. Ignorant is not knowing.
Right.
I'm ignorant
Right.
about how a car engine works.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went, and Jenny, you don't know this yet about me, but I'm OCD about research. I don't
Okay.
care what the subject is. You tell me about a new kind of bug and I'm going to go research it, even though I don't care about bugs. I'm just OCD about it. So I went, I got the website, the government website for this woman, and I said, here, this gives you the jobs of the Senate and of the House.
Sure.
Immediately responded. Immediately. You know, she never clicked on it. There was no time.
Of course not.
Responded with, you're stupid, and you need to go back to school.
You could have just pulled out Schoolhouse Rock on her, been like, look, watch this.
I mean, you try to educate things. These people don't understand how the government works, and they don't want to.
Willfully
They
ignorant.
don't, and that's the bad thing. And you're right, Jenny. That's how some of these politicians. Why is Dianne Feinstein still in the Senate? Are you serious, California?
There can't be a single 20-year-old voting for Mitch McConnell. I don't buy it.
No.
And yet he wins every time. Like, it's like, ooh.
Landslide.
Please don't start me on the Kentucky race, because I'm like, Cory Booker.
Charles.
Oh my God, Charles Booker, yeah.
No, not Cory Booker. No, Charles Booker should have been the one that eventually was going to lose to McConnell. Let's just keep it real, because McConnell, for some reason, they're falling into that old trap of, well, it's the lesser of two evils. Well, one, you're acknowledging that it's evil. Why don't you change it? Right. Your vote could literally change.
After 30 years in the Senate, McConnell's state is the second or third poorest in the country. They're near the bottom with education, with health care, with jobs. And what did they do after all that? They just voted him in again for a seventh term.
Yeah, McConnell's another one's been in there since I was like, had one digit in my age. I'm like, are you really serious? And that goes for Bernie too. I'm not going to just say, well, leave him because he's one of the good ones. But like, are you serious? What is your accomplishment? And I keep asking that of people. It's like, what? You know, when I came out and supported Bernie Sanders on Facebook, our great tool, I got a whole lot of, well, what is Bernie Sanders? He hasn't done anything for Black people. So when I flipped that question and said, well, tell me one good thing that Joe Biden has done for Black people. I'll wait. I still haven't gotten an answer.
He was a vice president for one.
There we go.
No, I said him being Obama's vice president doesn't count, because
I mean, for Obama,
well, he pushed,
right?
He pushed Reagan for the war on drugs. As a matter of fact, he wrote a bill so racist that Reagan turned it down. Reagan! It was too racist for Reagan. Think about that.
No, Mickey, my question was, what positive thing has Biden done?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I kept saying, okay, you're going to sit here and tell me Bernie Sanders is racist, so I shouldn't vote against him. But Joe Biden is, well, first of all, I don't even believe that garbage. But you're going to tell me Joe Biden is not? What one good thing has he done for Black people? And do not tell me being Obama's vice president is one of those. That's not an accomplishment. That's a convenience.
It's a pigtail.
Well, he did tell you, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black.
Oh, I was about to say that too. Do you know the amount of Black people that defended that ignorance?
Yeah, sure did.
Was like, he's
Are
right.
you serious?
I can't make this stuff up. He's right. Who you gonna vote for? Trump? You're not Black if you're voting for Trump. And I'm just like, why?
I'm an old white woman, and that offended me. That offended me.
Well, I had so many Black people. Yeah, he was right about that. I'm like, are you? It was like I literally said to one of my friends, I'm not gonna call her name because I don't want to. I'm like, girl, are you serious? Are you? Yeah, because Black people vote Democrat. No, first of all Black people don't vote Democrat. Some people do vote for Republicans. I'm not one of them. Some Black people do vote independent. I'm definitely one. Not every Black person is pro Biden. What are you
Yeah, but
talking?
90% of the black community is Democrat.
And that
And
whole argument didn't even make sense. I'm like, huh? What do you mean? So
it's
I'm
just
not black. Just to let the audience know, I am not black.
uh,
I'm not black because there was no way, absolutely was voting for. I know some people did because again, not Trump. Trump was terrible. When people defend that, I'm like, wait a minute, huh? You have to sit down and just be wondering what's wrong with you.
but then
Yeah.
I kind of feel like those, especially those corporate forces, and we know there are literally different side of the same coin. They work in tandem because then when you try to tell black people, okay, listen, you don't always have to vote for the Democrat. I'm not telling you to go vote for MAGA City, but you don't. Then you got your Candace Owenses that's out here saying you're a slave to the Democratic plantation and you need to get off that. And so you get lumped in with the likes of her, and then your message is completely falling on deaf ears. So we're kind of in between a rock and a hard place trying to find, that spot where it's like, no, 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 I'm not saying go support, Klan robe wearing, Klansmen, right? But I am saying don't blindly follow these people because they say all the good words you want to hear. What is the action behind it?
But when Biden was saying some of the things that he said, and which is why in my letter I said your so-called vice president. Oh, once I said, why did he pick her? It was like I was saying something against. It was like you're treating me like Candace Owens. Really, all I'm doing is bringing to light her record. I don't know her personally. Of course, I think that laugh she has is completely phony. That's just me. I'm judging, shouldn't judge, but whatever. But people were just like, it's important to have a black woman as vice president. No, it's important to have a capable, progressive black woman. If you want to just put race in it, there were plenty of people. If Biden had selected, of course, we know Nina's not in the argument. Once she called him a half pile of manure, she was like, no.
I'm pretty sure she was nope before that, but yes, that did still her fate.
I think I told you before in an argument with a woman, a black woman, when I was arguing, when we were talking about putting Harris in, I was speaking against her, and I named 2 or 3 black women who I thought would be better choices. This other woman, a black woman, called me a misogynistic racist because I didn't want Harris. I named black women, but I'm a misogynist racist because I didn't want Harris.
Well, when you don't have a defense, you go ad hominem every time. That's just how it goes.
But think about and I want to hear each of you guys' opinion about this. Think about how much more the progressives would have been excited to vote for Biden if he had the decency, the common sense to pick a progressive black woman. That would have changed everything.
I would have voted for him if he picked a progressive white man. As much as I'm not crazy about having another old white man in, if he picked Bernie, I would have voted for him in a second.
No,
I think that's true for a lot of people. I think that in both situations, for Hillary and for Biden, they both should have chosen Bernie as their VP, because that is how you unite the party. You take the group of people that didn't want the winner and you insert one of their people in a very high position. That's how you get to unite your party. But instead you take these, I wrote down back to business. You take these people who are going to bring things back to the status quo, that the safe, comfortable place we were in 8 years ago. 4 years ago, whatever. Feels like 20, 30 years ago. I don't know.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
What you're doing is you're making sense. And some people don't make sense.
Absolutely.
First of all, there are so many reasons why Bernie wasn't picked. One, I'll say I think they're jealous of Bernie. This is just me talking out loud. I think deep down they're jealous of the popularity that he has across political. There were so many.
I think they're afraid of Bernie, just like they're afraid of Nina, because the progressives want to end the money in politics. That's their biggest thing. And none of the corporate Democrats or Republicans want that. They're so afraid of progressives getting in office and cutting off that pipeline of bribery that they get.
Yeah, but think about what to Jenny's point when she said if Biden, I don't know if I have a ticket of 2 old white men, how America would feel about that. I mean, personally, I'd have been like, ooh, Bernie's going to be president. And then I just, but to the regular people, I just don't know if that would have worked. But like I said, picking someone a little bit younger, well, no, a whole lot younger,
Yeah.
and progressive, I'd have been like, okay. But like I said, to me, it's a matter of jealousy, power, and ego. The corporate Dem establishment would not have, even if they wanted to, even if Biden said, you know what, I want to pick Barbara Lee. There was no way.
No.
I mean, look at all those trash candidates that came out and ran for president. Half of them were put in there to get Bernie out the race.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I mean, you had Amy talking about she's from Minnesota all the time, Klobuchar. Then you had Pete Buttigieg, who I still wonder how a gay person can be racist, but that's just me. I'm still not understanding that. I'm like, really? You're in a marginalized community and you're going to be racist? Okay, that's cool. Then you had, who else was in there? Gillibrand, she was in there. Then you had...
I forgot Kristen was in there.
Then you had...
It's been so long, I forgot.
Then you had Beto, who is Beto. Like,
now they want him to be governor of Texas. I hate Blue MAGA so much, you guys. Like, I can't stand Blue MAGA.
I'm like, you don't win. You don't win. Go home, sit down, live off your wife's riches, and be done. Just do that.
And the oil kickbacks he took. Don't forget the oil kickbacks.
Yeah, don't forget that. And then there was who else ran? Our favorite Cory Booker ran. Kamala Harris ran. I mean, I'm like, Bloomberg.
Let's not forget Bloomberg. The fights, that's another one. The fights I got into with people over that. Again, a New Yorker. Bloomberg is a New Yorker. They were saying how wonderful he was. I would bring up the nominations or the for the candidates. It was closed. Several people dropped out because they couldn't reach the rules. Bloomberg, they dropped the rules to let him in after he donated, what was it, something like $800,000?
It was a lot.
He donated that, and then they let him in.
Yeah, and
then I started bringing up his history.
And I forgot about Elizabeth Warren, who couldn't get herself out. Like, girl, get out. And George Bernie, but nope, what she did, turned around, waited too long to get out, in my opinion. I'm like, you're not going to be vice president. Because
she didn't even win her own state.
Like, Kamala, we're supposed to forget that. I'm like, Kamala, you didn't win California.
Well, she didn't get to California. Oh, she ran out of money first. But she wasn't going to win it. She wasn't going to win it. Bernie had that state loan locked.
She didn't win any delegates.
No delegates, dropped out money. The primaries even began. Like, there was no voting by the time she dropped. She was out of money by December. They didn't start voting, I think, till because it wasn't South Carolina Super Tuesday, so they didn't start voting until January time frame. So Kamala didn't even make voting.
Yeah, it's just like, wait a minute. Now you're gonna sit here, tell me go to court, and it's proven that you fix elections. It's proven that you pick the candidates, and I'm supposed to just vote blue no matter who. No. If I ever hear the term vote blue no matter who, I'm hitting somebody. Somebody's getting popped in the face. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting stop that. Stop.
People aren't gonna fall for that another time.
I'm not. I fell for that with Obama, and look what it got. I'm like, I got literally nothing out of it. Like, what did I get?
If 2020 did nothing else for me, right? If 2020 did nothing else for me, it reiterated why I sincerely have an issue with President Obama. I sincerely have an issue with Jim Clyburn. And I sincerely have an issue with Bernie's campaign manager, Jeff Weaver. because he's the one that talked Bernie out of quitting when Bernie could have made it. He really could have, and he just didn't want to be hated, so he didn't have the I guess he's tired, right? So I am not too upset with Bernie because who wants to be treated like a leper? The way they treated him after Hillary lost her race, not because of Bernie.
And you guys, not to get on the subject, and I do want to hear you guys on this. Her book. Has anybody read her book?
No,
Oh,
I don't plan on it.
if you want a comedy
Whose
show,
book?
Hillary
Hillary.
Clinton's book. Remember Hillary wrote that letter to Bernie thanking him for all the campaigning that he had did and thanked him for
He
his
did
hard work.
39 rallies for her.
Wow.
Is this called like is it why I lost, or like why
Yes.
where it went wrong or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
I
you
think
want
so,
a
yeah.
good laugh, if you want a laugh, and I'm talking about a really good one, read her book.
Oh boy.
She
No, thank you.
went in on Bernie like he was Obama. Remember in 2008 when they were attacking each other?
Mhm.
I'm like, girl, did you forget he campaigned for you? Oh, he did that because she gave some dumb. I'm like, girl, look at here. You stayed with that buffoon face Clinton all them years. You knew he was cheating on you, girl. Sit down somewhere. And I don't mean,
Mhm.
but
But then he turned around and did the same thing for Joe, and
yeah.
Joe crapped on him too. I beat the socialist. No, you didn't. Obama
That.
climbed Bernie to
You know,
DNC. beat
this, like,
Bernie.
are they attacking? It's again, like you said, Mickey. They're scared of him, and I still think that they're jealous of him because it's like they're scared that Bernie can speak to a Republican, and a Republican be like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
They're scared that he can speak to a Democrat, and they'll say, you know what, that makes a lot of sense.
But
Yeah.
then you also, once again, you got to blame the electorate because they let that stupid behind Bernie bro narrative take off, even though no one says anything about the maggots, even though they kind of do, but not, they're not on them the way they're on. Like they literally made it seem like the people that support Bernie is just as bad as Trump supporters. And then they never say anything about K-Hive. Kamala supporters are vicious little monsters and no one says a word. Yet Bernie must stop his campaigning to go poo-poo his supporters.
Can I say, I think
And-
that when I first read a story that said K-Hive, my mind went to a Kardashian. I'm like, what is this K-Hive? Why does our vice president have a group of followers like you would expect from a pop star or a reality TV star?
Right.
That threw me for a loop.
Because
you
they
shouldn't.
hero worship. They hero worship
Yes.
as opposed to treating them like the public servants that they're supposed to be.
Yes, and then you vote accordingly rather than you voting for what in your mind intelligently is not right.
Right.
And people, and you know what, Jenny, people do that all the time. People will specifically say, I'm for Medicare. Well, they won't use the term Medicare for all. They're for, and I'm saying, are you for the government paying for your health care? Absolutely. So
Yeah.
you're telling me you're absolutely for government paying for your health care, which is what they should be doing. But you'll go in the polls and vote for somebody that says it it's on his desk, he'll veto it. Explain that to me. People
Absolutely.
purposely, on purpose, will vote against their own interests so that the other person doesn't get in. And something about that has to change because if the electorate keeps doing the same thing, it's not going to get any better. It's going to be way worse.
I don't know. I have no hope. I think Bernie was our last great hope. There's nobody ready to challenge. Definitely probably won't be anybody to challenge, 2024, right? Because the politics, the political way.
You think Biden's even going to run?
I think he is.
I
think he is. He lied. He lied when he said he was only going to do one term. He likes it.
I kind of feel like it's going to be now he's gonna not run, but his VP will run. I think that's kind of like a grooming situation, but I could be wrong.
But it's also still taboo to run against when your party's currently in office. So no progressive is going to put their hat in the ring in 2024. So our best hope is 2028. And right now we have nobody. Like I don't see any viable candidate for office in 2028.
Yeah.
Well, if Nina, when Nina wins in the midterms in 2028, 2024, she can run for president.
do it. I mean, and that's the one thing that not to say that I dislike about Nina, but what I severely disagree with her on. She's not going to run against a Democrat. There's no
Right.
way she's not going to do it. As much as I would be like absolutely up in everybody's face if she did, she's not going to do it.
Because it's that bull crap civility politics.
Yes.
It's uncivil to challenge your own
And I
party.
wish
Well,
she
isn't
wasn't running as a Dem. I
Mm.
wish she would have run as an independent to
But
show the people an independent can win.
Absolutely, but think about it. She said herself, "I am a Democrat." She's never shied away from it, even though I'm like, "But you want to run independent?" I agree with you, but I know she's not going to do it. I just have that feeling.
Well, I'm with you guys, and especially like Jenny just said, or said a little while ago, everything in me does not identify as a Democrat anymore. I was born and raised into the Democratic Party, and therefore, anytime I run for office, that'll probably be the hat I hang, just because it anchors me to something that's already established. But and I think that's what Nina feels too. Like, that was just like we said, 90% of the Black people support Democrats. You don't have to be that Democrat though. So the simple fact is, she might put that D in front of her name, but she does not represent those democratic values at all.
Right.
Yep, exactly. Well, guys, we are at the end of another show. We're gonna switch over to our, well, I don't want to say bonus coverage because that's what TYT says, but I'm gonna come up with some name.
After party.
There you go.
There you go. After
I like that. I like that.
So now we're into the after party section. The profanity ban